What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming at you tonight for a special video. Actually, it's not really special, but I sold a Lake Arrowhead card and we didn't have the lake breakdown done yet. And one of my customers, Rodney, actually wanted to see if we had the lake breakdown done yet, and I didn't. So I'm going to try to kind of push this one in. Special Friday episode just for Rodney to get this one kicked off. This is Lake Arrowhead, going to be a good one. We saw lots of good stuff here: house foundations, rocky areas, hard spots, just really, really cool stuff from a Google Earth standpoint. Was able to get the water way down and really see all kinds of cool stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. It's Lake Arrowhead. Let's see what we found. Bye. Park and Wildlife Fishing page, because this gives us the information that we need to go ahead and start digging into this lake. So Lake Arrowhead, location is 15 miles southeast of Wichita Falls off US Highway 281. Surface area is 14,969 acres, maximum depth of about 45 feet. And this thing was impounded back in 1966. The fluctuation is 4 to 6 feet. I can definitely guarantee it might even be more than that. We got some really good Google Earth footage on this lake, and normal clarity is 1 to 2 foot of visibility, which somewhat surprises me because there are times on this when the southern end of this lake gets very, very dirty. Other than that, let's go ahead and look down here at the predominant fish species. We've got largemouth bass, white bass, channel, flathead, and blue catfish. We've also got white crappie. If we go down, we'll look at the lake records here in a second. We go down here and just take a look at the angling opportunities. You can see the largemouth bass is fair in this lake, catfish being excellent, crappie being good, white bass and sunfish both being fair. Gives you a little bit more information here. There is some habitats structure that they've put here on this lake, so we'll talk about those when we go through the Google Earth stuff. And then let's just go up here real quick before we leave this page and look at the lake records. So current lake record as of Texas Park and Wildlife today, the biggest largemouth bass that's been caught here was a 12.7. That is a tank. It was caught back in 2008 with the crankbait. Had to have been a fun fish to catch for sure. So that pretty much wraps us up on the Texas Park and Wildlife page. Let's go ahead and switch over to Google Earth. Let's start breaking this thing down. All right, let's go ahead and jump in here to Google Earth. Over here on the left-hand side, let's just show you how this thing is broken down. You can see we have different categories that are over here. The first one obviously is just a hazard that's out there, so we'll talk about that as we go down the lake breakdown. We also have a bunch of ramps and slabs that are out here. If you've watched my lake breakdown videos before, you know that I love to fish around old boat ramps and slabs. They are just very, very good pieces of cover to fish around. We also have lots of different roads, bridges, culverts. These are all old roads and old bridges that were out there prior to the lake flooding. So definitely going to be some good stuff to at least go scan around. Some of this stuff may not even be there anymore. It may be washed out by the lake. I know we have a lot of that on Hubbard, where Navionics will tell me there's a road there. I go out there and there's maybe a little bit of remnants of a road, but not what I was expecting. And I think we're going to see some of that on this lake just based on what I'm seeing on Google Earth. We also have foundations, and these look awesome. Just super, super awesome. As we go through these breakdowns, you're going to see it, but they look like they are going to be fish magnets and awesome, awesome places to fish around. We've also got a lot of different offshore stuff, and this was one of the few times when I was actually able to go out, to Navionics. That's how I pick the offshore stuff. I go out and I look at the contours and I mark them off the contours, and then I bring them back in here into Google Earth so we can have everything into one file. But this was one of the few times when I was actually able to pull the water down so far on this lake that I was able to see my offshore hotspots that I actually did on the phone. And that is a pretty rare thing, that I'll be able to see offshore hotspots actually being part of the ground. That's just not typically something we see here. So when I draw this lake back here in just a second, you're going to be amazed at how far back we get the water on this one. We've also got ponds, not a ton, but a good handful of ponds. We've got 6 there, 4 there, 7, 8, 9, about 9 different ponds to fish. And pond dams, actually looks like 10. There's one right there too. So Pond dams are great to fish, especially come summertime. Pond dams can be just a really, really good place to fish. So we've got those pointed out for you. We've also got the Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles. This is interesting too, because if you see it here in this image, this is right now in 2022. You can see where all these brush piles are. They're all right here. But when we draw it back to 2013, you'll actually be able to see the land here where these brush piles are, and there are no brush piles there. So my guess is they must have put the brush piles in after 2013, and that's why we can't see them, but they should be there now. So if you're going through, when we go through and we draw the water down, you say, hey, there's nothing there, that's why, because I'm sure that they put them there afterwards. But these are the coordinates that they gave us, and they've got a lot of brush piles in here. Check it out. There's just a ton right in this area, and there's a whole bunch more over here. So you guys that want to fish around the bank, want to camp and stuff like that, or go out for a picnic, I mean, those brush piles are within range for you to go fish around. They put them there on purpose, so it's going to be a really good place to go look. Then we've also got rocks, several different areas where you wouldn't know there was rock there, but when the water was drawing down, it really brought out the rock and where the rock was. So we're going to talk about all those different spots. You can see them all here scattered throughout the lake. And then last but not least, we have channels. There are some pretty good channels back in here, back on the south side of this lake. You got some really, really good creek channels, and we've marked those creek channels for you. That's what you see there in the green tracks. So let's go ahead and select everything back on here. We may take off the offshore if it becomes a distraction, but we'll leave it on for right now. We're going to move this over here to the left. And then up here on my date, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this back to 2013. That seemed to be the best image that I could find. So I'm going to keep going, kind of show you guys how this is looking. So looking like can't find much there. 2015. I believe this is going to be the image of 2015. I thought it was 2013 earlier, but it is actually, it's all the same. But anywhere from 2013 to 2015, that's going to give us the image that we're looking for. So typically what we would do is we would start at the dam on the south side of the lake, and we would basically work our way up north through the east side and then all the way back down to the west. But in this case, the dam is actually up here on the north side. So we're going to start up here on the north side, and we're going to work our way down here and then work our way all back around. So first off, and again, on the offshore stuff, I may touch on a few of them as I'm going through this lake breakdown, but we're going to switch over and do an actual video to talk specifically about the offshore hotspots. I'll pull out the web app or the Navionics boating app, and we'll actually talk about the contours and why I picked those spots to be offshore hotspots. So as you can see here, we got a couple in here, and this is what I was talking about. If I would have left this up to 2022, I would have had no idea why those were offshore hotspots. I would just know that trust myself that I had marked those via contour, but as far as physically seeing them here, I would have no idea. But this is one of the few times where I was actually go back. When you get this far back, the lake is down so far that I can see those spots that I picked off of Navionics. I think it's pretty cool, actually. When you go out here, I didn't pick this spot because of it was offshore spot from Google Earth. I picked it because of the way that the contour is set up for it. But then as you zoom in here, there's some debris down here. There's some tires and stuff down here as well. That is going to be a really good offshore spot. Also over here off this point, clearly that's why I picked the offshore spot. It's a big point that comes out when the water comes up. That's going to be a really good spot as well. So let's keep moving over here. Sorry for having to keep clearing my throat. I've got some allergies going on today. But as we move over here, another good offshore spot, and again, we'll talk about those. Here's all your Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles. It's almost like they put them all in one area right here. So if you got on the brush pile bite, you're going to be in hog heaven up here. And for those of you bass fishermen that don't think that the brush piles are worth fishing because they only hold crappie, I'm telling you, you're nuts, because the bass eat the crappie and the bass will hang around those brush piles. Those can be great for bass fishermen too. Also, while you're up here at the ramp, I know this is the swimming area, so I can't see the buoys. So forgive me if you can't get here to fish this right here, but there's a little pond dam that's right here that you could actually fish around right here in this area. And notice the nice little point there too. But I don't know where that swimming area is, so just beware of that. All right, so I just noticed something that I was zooming out. I'm going to zoom back in here. And I just want to look at this right here because it looks like I missed a rock pile. And I sure did. So there's a rock pile right here. So we're just going to call that offshore as well. And that is basically going to be rock. We'll either leave it at offshore or I'll change it back to rock. But those of you guys that have already bought the card, just note that there's a rock pile right there. And if you want the new file, just send me an email. I'll send you the new file. All right, so let's keep moving down. As we move down across this point, not seeing too much, nothing, no kind of debris or anything. Do like the contours, obviously, the way these points set up, you can get on the outside edges of them, maybe be able to catch stuff, but nothing too crazy until you get back in here. And I actually marked this as an offshore hotspot because of the contours, but now that I see it from Google Earth, clearly this is going to be a really good spot. Just this whole area right here. It's a big old pond dam, and you got the opening right there, so they could collect right around here. They can collect on either side of this pond dam. And it also looks like you may even have, see this little white stuff that's here? I don't know if that's rock, but it could be shell beds as well, because that's a perfect place for the shell beds to collect up on. You've also got the same thing out here on this little bitty hump too. So definitely right in here, spend some time there. That could be good for you. Looks like an old road bed possibly here. And this, you'll see this later on when we start talking about the roads, but yes, there is a road bed there, but as you zoom into it, all it really does is just kind of dip down. There's no concrete. There's really nothing left of that roadbed to make it, to me, make it worthy of being fishable. So we're going to move over here. We've got another offshore spot. We'll talk about those later. Let's move on up. Let's see what we can find from the Google Earth side. Now, this is where stuff gets interesting. This point up here, in fact, this up here too, this could be right in here too, could be good. See that little rock right there? I missed that as well. So we're going to go ahead and just do this. I'll just put rock here. And we're going to keep moving. But as we get here, look at all of this rock right here off of this point. It just looks juicy, 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 juicy. I mean, you could spend some time there. You got plenty of place to move around, and you got plenty of rock and plenty of hard surface to fish around there as well. You even got that rock that even comes a little bit down in here too. There's not as much of it in here. That little spot right there, just being a point and being that it's hard, makes it really, really good. And also over here, same thing. You got all this rock that's out here. Look at all this stuff. Just giant, nice, good giant rocks all right in here. And you know me, I love to fish around the rocks. I think it's really good, especially, I mean, look at the terrain around there. There's a lot of dirt, a lot of junk, and then all of a sudden you just come across these hard spots that are right there, and that just makes them very, very high percentage type spots. You can't see those offshore stuff, so we'll talk about those later. You got another ramp that's over here. Some more offshore stuff that's back here. As we move over here, this little point that comes out, notice how much it's different than all the other points here. Like this point, yeah, it might be a good point, but if I'm having to fish between this point and this point, I'm for sure coming over here and fishing this one, because this one's got the hard surface, it's got the rocks, all of that good stuff. And again, if I pull this back, I'm going to show you guys where I'm at, but I'm going to pull this water up to 2022. We're going to go right back and look at that same place where we saw that rock at, and you're going to see that it looks completely different. So there's the ramp. Here's the offshore stuff. Here's the rock. So when you go out there, don't be confused, especially if you're one of those that likes to just watch the video and not buy the waypoints. Don't be confused and go up here thinking that I told you the rock was right here by this dock, and you come up here and you fish the dock and there's no rock there. It's because the rock is actually further out. It's just the way the image is, because the lake is so low, it's going to confuse the heck out of you when you go out there. But here you go. Remember, the water's all the way up here, or somewhere right in here. And so that rock is way out here. And if you fished inside of that, you're fishing back on the mud. All right, so let's keep moving over here. We're going to see some more offshore stuff. Here's another one of those spots where I picked offshore, and you can almost see it. You got a little bit of rock in here, nothing too crazy, but just some little tiny little piles maybe you could check out. But this spot right here has a really good collection of them. And you've also got a pretty decent little collection right there to your right as well. Just some interesting stuff. Check out it's just different. This lake's definitely different. Right here, we don't get to talk about it very much, especially on Texas lakes, but you've got a really good transition going on right through here. Notice how it's sandy right in here, and then all of a sudden just gets really, really rocky. Well, if you can find that same transition out here, like where my hand is, if you can find that transition line, if it'll stay out here as well, and that rock will continue, that can be just a great line to fish on. Doesn't matter your depth, just stay on that line. You'd be surprised at how you can catch those. You kind of got the same type thing going on over here as well. But here we go. We've got more rock, just really good points, really good rocky points to fish around. And here's that hazard I was telling you about that I marked here. And I marked it as a hazard because it looks like one of those places where you could definitely just, you think everything's fine, you're not going to hit anything. And then all of a sudden, boom, you've got a rock pile right out here outside the edge of this point. You had no idea it was there. There goes your prop. So just be careful there, but fish it. It's definitely a fishable thing that you want to fish. I mean, you saw that here's 2019. You don't even know it's there, but it's there. It's definitely there, and it's definitely going to get your boat if you're not careful, especially if the water is running low. So be careful. So we're going to keep moving on. We're going to come over here, another good offshore spot right there. You can see why, because that point's coming out. This probably has a really good drop in there or something like that. More offshore stuff there. Let's keep going down. You can see I came down through the middle of the lake, and now I'm down right in through here. There's not a lot going on, but when there is, it just looks like really juicy spots, like these two little rocky areas. There's even another one right over here off of the side of this point. But this whole area right here has just got some little rocky points, really good places for fish to collect up on. Right here again, same thing, just the only area that's really got the hard spot. Over here, more rock coming off of that point. We come over here, here's an old road bed. Now this is what I was talking about. I think we could actually probably just remove this. Now there's definitely probably going to be the culverts still there. You can see where the old road bed was, but unfortunately, there's just nothing there. There's no remnants of a road bed. If I zoom into, you can't even hardly tell, but if I zoom out from Google Earth, you can see where that road bed used to be. And so here we've marked the road beds, we've marked the culverts as well, but just be aware that some of those road beds might actually be washed out now to where you can't even see them anymore. Then we're going to move over. Let's move back in here. We've got some interesting stuff back in here, but creek channels and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. We're going to see the really good creek channels here in a minute. We're going to come down here, and this point that's back here, does that not just look like Carolina rig heaven, crankbait heaven, shaky head heaven? I mean, it just looks beautiful. That point just looks great, especially pre-spawn in time. I guarantee they stage up in that area, and that's a really good spot to go take a look at. As we move over here, we get the same thing. Here are those hard spots, another road, some more culverts that are out there. You get over in here, some more culverts maybe to check out and see if there's anything there. And I said there was a road there, but I don't see the remnants of a road like through this island. So not sure on that one, but definitely Navionics is telling us that there's roads and there's culverts there. There's also an offshore spot here we'll probably want to look at from a contour perspective. And if you look back here, right off the edge of this point, just this spot right here is kind of getting my attention because you can tell it's a hard spot. You can kind of see it coming through the dirt and the sand down here. So if you're over here and you're fishing, although this may look like there's nothing here, at least come up in here and scan around that little hard spot and see what you can find. And of course, we got this offshore thing here too, and you never know, maybe those culverts will be there and there'll still be some remnants of a road bed. So we're going to move down here, and this is where, to me, it gets into just super juice stuff. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I like to fish offshore especially. So we come in here, and what we have basically are these foundations. And so you're going to see here, this says there's an old road there too. And you kind of see where an old road used to be. But again, see how you kind of lose it. So I'm actually going to take that one off. So that way we can just focus on these houses. So here we go. Look at these house foundations. These look awesome. Those are going to be fish magnets. Those could be culverts right there from those old roads. Look at those houses, more houses. Then as you move over here, we've got more. Got another one up here. This one's actually fairly shallow and pretty decent one here. And then this one, these are a lot farther out. There's a big old slab here that could just be an old home foundation, possibly. Look at all the debris around it. You've also got another one down in here. I mean, that stuff is really fun to fish around from an offshore perspective, and the fish really collect well around stuff like that. So let's pull this up to 2022. Man, that's when it gets just really muddy. We'll stick back to 2021, but you'd have no idea that those house foundations were there unless you were one of those locals that knew where all the spots were. But now you do. You've got all that stuff. Here's where that slab was. I mean, didn't it look like we were right on the bank, and that slab's way out here in the middle of the lake. There's something going on out here, which we're going to look at here in a second. You got some more culverts out here, but right here, That's the space, this time to spend. You know, you want to spend some time here in this space doing some offshore fishing, because you definitely have some collection of some really good cover in that area. Let's draw this back. Here's what it looks like again, just wild when you see it that way. Right here, you've got a culvert that's on top of this pond dam. So you got a little culvert there, which I don't know if I'd mess with the culvert, but definitely this pond dam, fishing around this pond dam, the top of it, the sides of it, and especially over here where it has the little opening. That's going to be a really good area to focus on. We got another little, not little, but house foundation that's out here. This one's actually quite a bit bigger. Maybe it's not a house foundation. Maybe it was a corporate building. I don't know. It's like 10 times the size of the other ones, but you can see it just makes a complete box here. Try to kind of put that in the middle of it, but just another really good offshore area to go check out. If you guys want to see that one as well, let's take a look at that culvert that we were looking at earlier. And here's the house foundation we just went over. Boom, knocked that back up to 2022, now back down to 2021. And again, wouldn't have a clue that stuff was out there. And that's when you're out here fishing, it's just, I don't know, something special about it when you go out there and you catch fish, especially when you're first learning how to fish offshore and you get out here and you fish some of this stuff and all of a sudden you get into a wolf pack of them. It will change your whole vision of fishing offshore, and you will probably never want to go fish and beat the bank again, because you'll be like, there's just no point. The big fish are out here. So anyways, getting off on a little tirade there, but just juicy offshore stuff to fish. We've also got some ponds that are back here, another little culvert that's back there too. Moving down here, just some old road beds and some old culverts. You can actually see the roads on this one. You can see the little road bed there too. So this one could be a little bit better than some of the other ones that we saw. Decent little creek channel that comes back there, but nothing too crazy. But maybe going back in there and doing some exploring. But look at this once we get back here. I mean, this just looks gorgeous. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover this real quick, and then we'll stop right here for the video of the night. And the next video we'll come back and we'll finish the rest of this lake. But let's go ahead and finish this up. Let's talk about that culvert. Check out this creek channel. Just juicy. You could get up here in the creek channel and just start exploring. And you want to hit these major bends. Notice where I've marked offshore. Well, I've marked those offshore spots from Navionics, the boating app. You'll see when we go over there. But they line up perfectly with where this creek channel is, and they're all on those bends. And so you really want to focus on those bends. You've got a road bed that's out here too. You just got a lot of good stuff back here. You've got a boat ramp that's back there. And then if you just follow it up, you can get out here, get out towards the point again. And now here again, you've got a road bed really close to this creek channel swing. So like right in here on this creek channel swing, right where I have it marked there, those are all great spots. And then just follow that creek channel all the way out, and you got some more stuff up in here. So that really covers us tonight. We're going to come back on the next video for Lake Arrowhead, and we will go through and talk about this side of the lake, and we'll cover anything we can cover moving up that side. And then what we'll do after that is we'll switch over to the Navionics mobile app, and we will talk about the contours and the offshore stuff. So lots of good stuff to come. Appreciate you guys following. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.